Hi, I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin reporting for the Offshore Gaming Association. That's OSGA.com, your number one source for information on the offshore sportsbook industry. That's OSGA.com. It's Friday, August 9th. I have three NFL preseason picks on today's card that I'm going to share with you. Yesterday, we went 2-1 with our free NFL preseason picks as we cashed in easily with the Baltimore Ravens -3 and a 29-0 shellacking of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We also had the Seattle Seahawks as a pick 'em. And that line actually moved to where Seattle was as much as a 3-point underdog. And it came back down to 1.5. In any event, the Seahawks win that game easily, 22-14 as a pick 'em. Our only loser was on the Atlanta Falcons +3.5. And the Falcons, as a matter of fact, that game was 27-27 with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Atlanta had 4th and 9 on their own 16-yard line and all three of their timeouts remaining. Yet Dan Quinn, because it's a preseason game, decided to roll the dice and go for it on 4th down and 9 from his own 16. It was an incomplete pass. Or I think it was a sack, as a matter of fact. In any event, they didn't make it. They gave, they were able to give their opponent great field position, and they cashed in with a touchdown. That's the Miami Dolphins with less than 2 minutes to play to get the 34-27 win. At the very worst, we should have lost that game by 3 points, would have covered. But that's the zaniness of the NFL preseason and why I always suggest, folks, that whatever you bet during the regular season, you shouldn't bet any more than 25% of that during the NFL preseason. That's just and too much inaccuracies as far as information goes. There's also a lot of miscellaneous things that normally wouldn't come up during the course of regular season action. Anyway, let's get to today's picks. We also went 1-1, by the way, with our Major League Baseball free picks yesterday. That makes us 20-10, 67% over our last 11 free pick videos. Be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Absolutely free. You'll be notified right away whenever I publish a video, free pick video, on the OSGA YouTube channel. I'd like to thank all of you who have already subscribed. Again, those of you who have not, costs you absolutely nothing. There's no strings attached. Just hit the subscribe button below. Let's get to the games. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh tonight. Actually, there's only two games, and I have three picks. Two of them being the sides and one being a total. Let's start with Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. I just like the side in this game. Currently, Pittsburgh is a 2-point favorite at Bovada. We're going to stick to the theme of what we did yesterday, and that's head coaching tendencies during preseason action. As I alluded to yesterday, John Harbaugh 13-0 the last 3 years during preseason play. Outstanding record since he took over the Baltimore Ravens in preseason. And some coaches just place a lot more effort, a lot more emphasis, during preseason action than others do, and that was a perfect example of such. Okay, so let's stick with that mindset. Bruce Arians will be coaching his first game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, when he was with Arizona, Arians was 6-3-1 against the spread on the road, and that included 5-1-1 against the spread as an away underdog of +1.5 or greater, which they currently are. The Tampa Bay franchise has had a lot of success during preseason action in recent years. As a matter of fact, over their last 17 preseason games, Tampa Bay has gone 13-4 straight up in ATS on the road when they're +3 to -3 like they will be this evening. This is a Pittsburgh team during preseason action under current head coach Mike Tomlin, who's gone 2-6 straight up in ATS as a home favorite of 2 or greater since 2013, and that includes 0-3 straight up in ATS, and at a precise situation if they were playing in the first two games of the season, and they lost those three games by 11.7 points per contest. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here, plus the 2 over Pittsburgh. That game, by the way, kicks off at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh at 7:30 Eastern Time. The next game, the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints from the Superdome in Louisiana. And the Minnesota Vikings are currently a 3-point underdog at 5 dimes. New Orleans under Sean Payton since 2015, 5-11 straight up in ATS in NFL preseason games, and that includes 2-6 straight up in ATS when playing at home. And even further than that, they've gone 0-4 straight up in ATS as a home favorite of 3.5 or less since 2015, and they lost those 4 games by an average of 7.5 points per contest. Just like Brian Belichick, Brian Belichick, I'll be okay. Just like John Harbaugh of Baltimore, Mike Zimmer has been outstanding since taking over the Minnesota Vikings in preseason games. The Vikings under Zimmer, 17-4 straight up and 14-7 against the spread, and that's all since 2014. That was the summer that Zimmer took over as head coach in Minnesota, and that includes 5-0 straight up in ATS in their last 5 preseason openers. Zimmer has also seen his team go 8-2 straight up in ATS on the road, again sticking with a coach that obviously puts more emphasis on winning during preseason action in Minnesota's Mike Zimmer, as opposed to New Orleans's Sean Payton. We're going to take Minnesota here, plus 3 at New Orleans. The total in the Minnesota-New Orleans, 37.5 across the board. Minnesota has seen 7 of their last 8 preseason openers go under the total. That includes 4-1 under in preseason openers with Zimmer as their head coach. And since 2016, Mike Zimmer's Vikings have gone 4-0 under the total as an underdog in preseason games. Those 4 games averaged a combined 27.8 points per game. Not a lot of points there, folks. New Orleans, on the other hand, 7-0 under the total in their last 7 preseason home games under Sean Payton, and those 7 contests produced only 31.9 points per game. We're going to go with this game to go under the total of 37.5. Let's repeat again. Tampa Bay plus 2 at Pittsburgh. Minnesota Vikings plus 3 at New Orleans. Minnesota Vikings, New Orleans Saints to go under 37.5. I would highly recommend too, folks. Buy it a half a point, buy it up to 38. Always a good idea to get off the hook on a key number like 37.5, 38. So again, repeating again, 3 picks: Tampa Bay plus 2, Minnesota plus 3, Minnesota, New Orleans under 37.5. Those are your NFL preseason free picks for Friday, August 9th. Once again, hit the subscribe button below. It's absolutely free. You'll be notified right away on any of my free picks videos that get published on the OSGA YouTube channel. Be sure to visit me at my website as well, rbwins.com. The last 2 days, I've cashed in with my Major League Baseball 10-star top plays. Arizona minus 133 on Wednesday night and a 6-1 win. And then yesterday we had the Cleveland Indians minus 105 and a 7-5 win over the Minnesota Twins. That makes my Major League Baseball money line 10-star top plays now 25-8, 76% with my last 33 picks. Once again, it's rbwins.com, where you pay a little to make a lot. Good luck with all your picks.